Hey everyone, today we're going to be going over my recommended deck list for the Granmarg raid in Cross Duel. Right, so here's the deck. Now the good thing to note is that most of the super rares are kind of not needed in this. A lot of them I have in just because. And after I go through this deck for what my one currently is, I'm going to go and redo this deck for players who maybe don't have free slots and everything, for who are fairly new to the game, and hopefully you get an idea, like a good idea of something you can be aiming for, like for that point. First of all, Elemental Hero Neos. What did I say in the last raid video? Invest in Elemental Hero Neos. If you are going to raid, Elemental Hero Neos is an incredibly useful card. Even in this raid, even with just one slot, after you get him out the first time, the second time he just becomes a 1 sacrifice with 1500 attack, but he gets, because of the special raid skill in this, where level 7 and 8s get 2 boss busters, he will get 2 boss busters, meaning that even if you only have a 1-slot Elemental Hero Neos, he is going to be a 3500 attack point hitter most of the time in this raid. So even if you only have 1 Neos, he's still really, really good. And he's only going to be eclipsed by like X-Head and Mad Archfiend if they have 2 slots. And even then, they're only going to go up to 3800, which is not like that much higher than the 3500 which Neos will get to if you only have 1 slot on him. If you have 2 slots on him and you manage to get the raid skill, he's going to go up to 5500 every time. Every turn you attack the boss's weak point. So yeah, Elemental Hero Neos is absolutely fantastic. The Stardust deck, which I've mentioned on previous videos, again, absolutely fantastic. Maybe I should just do its own video for the Stardust deck, so I can just refer back to that if people haven't seen that yet. I also feel like this has been one of the easiest raids so far, perhaps because a lot more people have, like, you know, more skills for their monsters now, so the raids are just kind of becoming easier. Anyway, we'll go through the deck list. Elemental Hero Neos. If you do not have this and you want to do raids, make an Elemental Hero Neos. Make 2 of them if you can. Elemental Hero Neos is absolutely fantastic. I recently pulled a 3rd one from the booster pack, which is why I have all 3 slots. But again, if you are going to raid and you have spare ultra rares, make a Neos, right? Make 2 of them if you can. It will make your raids so much easier. Next I have Blackluster Soldier in. Mainly I have this in because I have 3 slots. They'll have Boss Buster on. When I summon him, he'll go to 5 Boss Buster, which means he'll go up to 8000 attack. But again, he is not needed. Literally, if you just manage to summon Neos every turn, that is really all you need. Leviathan Dragon, even though I don't have it in, Leviathan Dragon is a really, really good one to put in as well. It's going to get 1 extra Boss Buster because it's a level 5 or 6. But not only that, it has the immunity to position change, and that's like a big thing in this boss, is he lets you change your stuff to defense mode, and if it's in defense mode, it gets destroyed at the end of the turn. So having in Leviathan Dragon with immunity to position change, and then all of any extra slots you have being Boss Buster, also really, really good. Wouldn't have it as your ace. I would kind of save it for those turns where the boss is going to kind of try and switch your monsters to defense mode. Junk Synchron I have in just because it gets me back cards that I can use to sacrifice. The way this deck is set up as well, you could also put in Debris Dragon, because that would get you back the Ojamas, for example. Or you could put in, if you have Healer on a couple of, like, all of these monsters, for example, if I just had on 1 Healer, you could also have on Soprano, the Meliodas Songstress, as that can also get back monsters. So yeah, just again, depends on what you have in. You can set up your monsters to make it so that you can use your super rares to get them back and get more resources. If you do feel like you're running low on resources, honestly, feel free to put in Debris Dragon, Soprano, depending on what you have, and just you put on their special skills. They can get back cards, and then the next turn you can sacrifice them for Neos or one of your other monsters. I have in Diva because it has Boss Buster and it has immunity to position change. I like to have a couple of these in because the boss does sometimes like to put Quaking Mirror Force going down the middle lane, which means Neos is gonna get its position changed to defense mode, and in those turns, you know, you want to have a couple of these monsters to just throw down the middle. Funnily enough, the super rare one is not even the best one. X-Head Cannon is probably the best one, where you have Boss Buster and Position Change. And we have a couple of others. We have Mad Archfiend, which has Boss Buster and Position Change. And I think those are the only ones. I have Needle Sunfish and Cannon the Melodious Diva. But honestly, these cards are really not needed. They basically just become sacrifices for Neos, or going down to attack an object if I need to attack them. That's really it. So I have like basically 4 monsters for that. Only 3 really with Immunity to Position Change and Boss Buster. And then next I have in a couple of cards with Anti-Object. This is because at the later levels, objects go up to 2, but the boss also blocks off like 2 people's lanes. So a lot of the time, only one person is going to be able to send a monster down to those objects. So it's usually good if you have some monsters with anti-object in your deck. I also have a Jama Green, which has immunity to position change. Again, anything with immunity to position change is really, really good. I just have a couple of other ones for just to make sure I'm at least always going to have like one of these in my hand for if that situation comes up. And then, so I have 4 monsters with anti-object, and I have in 5 monsters with assist heal in, again, just to keep up your health. Granmarg doesn't do a terrible amount of damage, but he doesn't do a light amount either at the higher levels, so worth just having in 4 or 5 monsters to facilitate that. And again, depending on how your deck is structured and what you're seeing, you might want to reduce the number of anti-object or reduce the number of assist heals, put in more of this, put in more of that. The good news about like having Neos as your ace monster here is that you don't have to have in as many Boss Buster monsters, because you're going to be summoning Neos every turn. You don't even need to worry about having in all the other Boss Buster monsters, because you're going to be summoning Neos every turn. If you do not have Neos, you are probably going to want to have in a lot more Boss Buster monsters. I would cut out probably half of the assist heals and the anti-objects and just having more Boss Buster monsters, honestly, if you don't have Neos as your ace. But, again, Neos is such a good card for raids. If you don't have a Neos and you have the spare Ultra Rares, make a Neos. He's not just good for the raids, he's also good for Constructed. If you have at least a 3-slot Neos, he's brilliant for Constructed as well. So, if you don't have Neos, make Neos. And then we only have in 2 spell and traps, and that is Stop Defense and Security Orb. Both of these are to counter the Quaking Mirror Force, the things that set your monsters to defense mode. This way, you can summon Neos in the middle lane, and then if the boss has a Quaking Mirror Force, you just put it back to attack with Stop Defense, or you set Security Orb and it puts Neos, it stops Neos from going to defense mode, and it means you can just basically power through some of those like awkward turns where the boss tries to stop you. Now I'm going to do this deck as though you might only have 2 slots. Now, again, if you have any of these ultra rares or any super rares with Boss Buster, stick them in. I'm going to do this with just rares, except for the ace, and if you only have like say 2 slots in each, and we'll kind of see how this how this goes. Right, okay, so I've just quickly redone this deck for if you only have 2 slots. Now, again, if you only have a 1-slot card, you can make a 2nd slot by clicking Customize, clicking on the plus here, and wow, I actually only need one more card for a full slot on Celtic Guardian. But you do trade cards here, and even if you're playing free to play, you're bound to have like a ton of spell and traps that you can use to make this make that full slot. Like so. And again, for a 2nd slot, all you need is 5 copies of the card, right? So for every card you're missing, that's going to be 4, for every copy of it that you're missing, that's going to be 4 rares of anything. Spells, traps, whatever you need. I would recommend using your spells and traps first, before anything else, but you can use that to I'm sure most people should have 2 slots by now, or if you're fairly new, you might only be a couple of copies away, and then hopefully you might have the extra spells and traps you need to make that 2nd slot. So here it is. I've just kind of removed all the super rares as well. Again, if you have any of these super rares or ultra rares with Boss Buster in, I would stick them in. And I've just put in 2 slots. I've basically replaced all of the super rares with Boss Buster monsters to just give you that, just in case you don't have Neos, just to give you that edge in terms of like being able to attack the boss on multiple turns. And as you can see here, I've just taken out the third slot for a lot of the cards that I already had in. I've made sure to keep in the position change. I've kept in reincarnation because sometimes you just need to defend against an anti-raid a raid monster, and at the very least you get Ojama Black and all the Ojamas back here. I've kept in Dark Resonator and Hip Hippo, mainly because I'm sure most people are going to have some double sacrifices in. You want to have both of these in because then they just count as one for those double sacrifices. I've kept, and yeah, as you can see, just kept things down to 2. I've kept the spell and trap count to 2 because they are, you really do not want to have too many spells and traps in this deck. The only ones I would maybe have in, apart from these, would be like Stray Lambs to make 2 things on each side, or if you're having cohesion monsters, maybe maybe machine duplication if you're having machine monsters, things like that. I really don't think any of these raid spells are worth it, to be honest. Even the Butterfly Dagger Elmer that adds 2 boss busters, it's going to add about 4,000 total damage. Really, whether you put that in is going to be up to you. What you do not want to happen is you do not want to be relying on your next draw. You do not want to be like, okay, there's a raid monster coming at me. I need to draw a monster, and then you draw this. You really don't want to be relying on that. But if your deck is done well enough so that you've always got some spare resources, then yeah, feel free to put in the Butterfly Dagger Elmer or Gravity Axe Growl for, anti-object stuff if you want to put in a few less anti-object monsters. Yeah, a lot of it is up to you, but unless the card, it's like a spell like Warrior Returning Alive where it's going to generate you a lot more resources, I really wouldn't recommend putting it in. So this is the deck. I still have Neos as the ace. Even if you just have a 1-slot Neos, it becomes a 3,500 attacker, and is also very good because sometimes the boss has this skill where he'll generate a shield if you put a level 4 or lower in the middle lane. That's why Neos is fantastic, even if you only have 1 copy of it. Anyway, let's get to the raid, and we'll show you the level 25 raid, which is going to be a little bit weird. I'll explain why, because this game is crashing a lot at the moment. So I'll see you in the raid. Right, so the raid's going to be playing at 2 times speed, and you might see some clunky plays from me in this final round. I think I actually had a lot better round 24. The main reason is the game at the moment after the last update is crashing, and when you play Elemental Hero Neos, it crashes good, I don't know, 60-70% of the time, at least the first time you play it. So when it does, it's sort of first time summoning animation. This isn't just Neos, this is like Blue Eyes, Great Moth, tons of the cards that I guess require you to I don't know, just tons of the cards at the moment in the game. So here, the boss is just done Earthquake, which means we get a free hit on him. Now, I am playing Elemental Hero Neos on the first turn because he does have my raid skill that gets him up to 3,500, and obviously after the first time I summon him, because he has free skills, he will get his full attack power. We also have a teammate that has Stardust, which is going to power up the other monsters by 1,000. However, if you don't have Elemental Hero Neos on this first turn, I wouldn't waste a resource attacking him. You're not going to do double damage unless you're attacking a weak point. But Elemental Hero Neos is just fantastic because it comes back to your hand every single time. And as you can see here, it's already up to 4,500.
Okay, let's move. You'll pay for that.
Now, thankfully, my ally on the left there actually had a Ojama Green, which doesn't get position change, so we're actually able to take out the object as well. And every time you take out an object in this raid, the raid boss will get another weak point on the next turn. So you want to take out those objects, you want to hit the weak points, but again, if you don't have a Neos, don't bother attacking him on the very first turn. Just aim for the object, save your resources for when you're doing double damage. Now this is a particularly annoying skill. This one will basically negate all the effects of your strongest monster on the field and switch it to defense mode. This is why we have the boss buster monsters in our deck. Just for like turns like this, where we don't want to play our Neos because it will very likely get destroyed and not come back to our hand. So for turns like this, you don't want to play your strongest monster unless you have the Stardust deck. You don't want to play your strongest monster, you just want to play a good boss buster monster. Send it down the lane to attack the enemy. Yeah, not sure why our ally summoned Dark Magician there. I guess if you do have Stop Defense, which I'm using here to help him out, it works out, but I kind of feel like I probably should have saved that Stop Defense for one of my monsters, like my Neos here, because Dark Magician's skills were negated. He's not going to get the double Boss Buster, which means he's overall going to do like less damage. And yeah, I feel at that turn, as you'll probably see, I think from what I remember later on, probably should have saved that Stop Defense for my own Elemental Hero Neos when his effects are obviously not going to be negated.
Still in this. I studied like monster.
Yep, and I'm being punished right now on this turn because this turn I could have summoned my Neos, I could have used Stop Defense on it and put it into attack mode and done a ton of damage to the boss, but being punished for that play on the last turn.
Are you ready? Let's go. Go.
At the very least, we just get to defend up with a monster here to defend against the raid monster. However, not a great turn because of the Quake and Mirror Force.
Lifesaver. We're moving to the battle phase. I activate my trap. Quaking mirror force.
Flash up there has got Security Orb to stop Stardust from going into defense mode.
Pay for that. Yeah, right.
And now because our monster is in defense mode, during the boss phase it will be destroyed.
Show how strong you are. Phew, still in this. Here comes the boom. I summon my monster.
Right. That trap card you see up in the top right, that is the skill that makes a shield appear if you put in a level 4 or lower monster. Now, if you're playing with an AI,
Let's go.
like you'll see now, they're always going to put a level 4 or lower monster during these turns. This is why Neos is good, because you're always going to have that high level monster. And the game crashed just then. Which happens a lot. I usually have to be wary when I summon Neos and I have a Stop Defense or something in my hand, because sometimes I might not get back into the game fast enough to use it. But this time was okay. Right, so we're back in the game.
I activate my trap. Roaring earth.
We chose to summon our Black Luster here just because it will do a ton of damage compared to even compared to Neos, which already does a ton of damage. Black Luster with 3 slots, which we have, is going to do a lot of damage, and that's why we summoned it out in this turn, just to kind of, you know, take out. I mean, look at the amount of damage we just did to the boss there. Absolutely crazy. If you have teammates that have, you know, good ace monsters, you really, in raids like this, you really do, even if your other monsters are not that decked out, even if you just have like vanilla cards essentially, as long as you have a fully decked out Neos or, you know, something like that, you as long as you have like a fully decked out Neos, you're going to be doing tons of damage. Right, and here we're kind of saved by the luck of the draw. We did draw our X-Head Cannon, which is our boss buster with immunity to position change, which is really good, so we're actually going to be able to get some damage in on the boss. Leviathan Dragon for our ally there, coming in clutch. I was definitely thinking of putting in Leviathan Dragon in my deck. I think it would have been a good card to include.
That's a lifesaver.
In fact, we've got double Leviathan Dragon, one from the AI as well.
Mirror force. I wonder what'll happen. Okay, let's move. You'll pay for that.
Unfortunately, it doesn't appear as though our teammate is able to go after the object, but we're at least going to get in a ton of damage to the boss.
Oh no.
And Flash has been really good there and summoning Stardust, even though Stardust wouldn't get to attack, just to power up everyone else's monsters by 1,000. Which is going to be roughly around, equate to around 6,000 damage. Again, another one of the very, very annoying skill, which is going to stop our strongest monster. So again, I'm just going to defend here with Ojama Black, because Ojama Black will come back to my hand once it's destroyed. Just making sure I keep up on my resources. I don't think I have, I think I only have really one other dead draw in the deck, which is Security Orb. But still, it's nice to have those extra resources in your hand, just in case.
I wonder what'll happen. Concentrate on what everyone else is doing. You can't stop me. Nicely done. Yeah, right.
And doesn't like Flash was able to summon Stardust in that turn, or at the very least he kept it back, knowing we would need it for the turn after.
Direct attack. Still in this. I summoned my monster. I drew a great card. You're on your way to
Alright, we're turn 7 of 8. And I think what you might find is we actually got a little unlucky on this round. Oh, and again, here is a bug, which it doesn't let me summon Neos. I have to play a second monster, and then it lets me sacrifice it. Don't ask me why. Just another bug in this version of the game. And the game crashed again. But I think what you'll find is we're actually a little unlucky on the level 25 boss. The boss played some of its most powerful skills twice in this raid. And usually I'm pretty good at keeping, when it plays Quake and Mirror Force, usually I'm pretty good at keeping resources for, you know, those turns. But I kind of didn't really, first of all, I used my stop defense a bit too early on this duel, and I didn't really keep the resources that I needed. And this should be pretty much it for the boss here. Like, he's probably not even going to get stunned. I think he's just going to get defeated in a single turn.
Nicely done. Go get him.
Alright, and there you have it. That is the level 25 Granmarg raid boss. I think we got a little unlucky in terms of the skills that he used. I also got a little unlucky myself in just not having the resources that I needed to deal with the Quake and Mirror Force and everything, and we still managed to beat him a turn early. Thanks very much for watching, subscribe to the channel for more content, and I will see you on the ladder.